You just finished your project. You've done all the gluing, you've glued everything up, you've put everything in place. But then you go back and you look and you find that your joints, they don't come together as well as you had wanted them to. Or that there's scratches or maybe even dents in the wood. Well, you could go to the big box stores and you could buy wood filler. Wood filler works good, and you'll have plenty of people that will attest to this. But the problem is a lot of times that it doesn't match the wood just right. So what do? So this is what you can do. You can take the sawdust from your project, mix a little bit of glue, and use that to fill those dents or scratches or joints. Now, I've heard that tip a few times now, and it's a good tip. But my question is, what size particulate should you use? Should you use something that's ultra fine, or should you use something that's a little bit thicker? What's going to work best with a stain? So I have a board here, a 1x4, and we're going to fill each slot and sand it down, and then we're going to throw some stain on top of it to find out which size particulate, if any, is going to make a difference from the other. Stick around. What? We're going to start off with the random orbital sander, which produces a very fine particulate. We're going to jump up to the bandsaw. Then we're going to go to the table saw. And finally, just for fun, we're going to work with the joiner. Now, one thing I'm not is a scientist, so I'm not going to measure out glue and do all that. I'm just going to do enough that will mix properly and give us that final result. I also want to do the back because I want to try it with just a clear varnish, like a polyurethane. Next, we'll jump up to the bandsaw. Next, we'll do the table saw. And then the last one, and I don't even know how I'm going to do this. We're going to try this stuff. This is from the jointer. And there it is. We'll let that dry and we'll see what happens. Now, to make this scientific, or a little bit more scientific-ish, I'm going to throw in my hypothesis. I think that the smaller particulate, the very fine, is not going to do a very good job. And as far as holding a stain, because of the amount of glue that is mixed in with it. Now, originally I had liked the idea because it's so easy to use with random orbitals, with the random orbital sander sawdust. I thought it was a good idea to use it, but then I thought, you know, there's probably going to be more glue in it than the actual powder or the same mixture. As we go up, I think that the particulates will allow it to, the stain to be absorbed more into the sawdust. And as far as the wood chips go from the jointer, I'm really curious to see how that works, because if I can get enough wedged inside of that one joint or that one crack, and I can sand it away, I might have a good chance of not having a whole lot of glue in it at all, and it might be the best, but we'll see. Now as I look at this, the random orbital sander, which had probably more glue and sawdust, a better mixture of the two, like a 50-50 part, that actually seems like it's the lightest. If we go up to the bandsaw, which was a little bit more coarse than the random orbital sander, it's a little bit lighter than the last one. If we go up another one, it looks like it's a little bit darker. If we go up to the last one, which were the wood chips from the jointer, it looks to me like it's the darkest of the four. Now I'm going to flip it over, and we're just going to do a polyurethane on this side and see what that looks like. Okay, now what I'm seeing here, this is the random orbital sander. This is the bandsaw. This is the table saw. And this is the the jointer. So jointer, table saw, bandsaw, random orbital sander. I don't really know how to read the results. This one looks maybe the lightest to me. So if you were to pack in just wood pieces with a little bit of glue, this to me, I guess, kind of looks like the best option. The two in the middle, this one actually seems darker than this one, and this one seems kind of the lightest. So I don't know, maybe it's glue. It's the amount of glue I had in this particular place and not over here. But from what I see, this is not a very conclusive test. Again, on this side, it seems to me that it's getting darker as it goes down, which means that the penetration for the stain is not so great, with the first one being the random orbital sander down to the last one being the jointer, which I would have assumed would absorb more color. This side though, I'm not really seeing a whole lot of anything. So that was a kind of a strange conclusion. What are your thoughts on this? What do you think happened? What do you think I should have maybe done differently? From what I see, basically, no matter what you use, you're going to see a difference. It's not going to blend completely. With the stains, I think that you're going to want to choose, if you're going to try to fill a crack, to use a bandsaw or maybe a table saw to gather the right kind of sawdust consistency. But for the jointer and the random orbital sander, they're going to be either too dark or too light. But I really don't think it matters a whole lot at all what you use if you're using a polyurethane. Now, of course, there's going to be a lot of different trials and errors that we could do with different types of stains or different types of polyurethanes or finishes, oils. But generally, from what I can see here, you are going to see a difference. There might be slight variations, but not really a whole lot that's going to matter one from the other, except for maybe if you're staining. But I'm interested in knowing what your thoughts are. What could I have done to make this test a little bit better? How could I have made this more clear? Do you think that this was conclusive? What's your thoughts? Please leave me a comment and let me know. If you like this experiment and want to see more like this, please like below, comment, share, and subscribe. And keep making things.